Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley and we're coming to you from the amazing Old Market Hall coffee shop. We're in a very cramped corner and we have a very small table full of wires, not enough room for the drinks. So this is going to be awkward, but we're going to do it anyway. Today I'm joined with Joe, Lucy, Swan and Abbey. Oh my god. And today we're going to be speaking about the charity Signal, and I want to talk a bit about etiquette when it comes to speaking to and living around deaf people, things you shouldn't do, things you should do, because I think it makes things a bit easier for people, right?
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah? So thank you very much for joining us. So let's start about Signal.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about Signal. What is Signal?
So Signal is a local charity that supports people who are deaf, have hearing loss or have tinnitus. So we've got a range of support services, mainly in the Shropshire area, but we also have some international services as well. And that ranges everything from support groups to one-to-one services to community groups for people to engage in different activities.
Okay, that sounds very positive. And it says, I read your website, it says you started in 2013. Were you there from the beginning when you first started?
So I'm quite new. I think around the table Joe is probably our longest serving Signal patron. I joined in January 2020. And
I joined a few weeks after, so we're still quite new to the team really. Yeah. So Joe is so experienced staff member. But 2013, so Signal actually used to be two different charities who came together.
Okay.
So hence it sounds a bit funny when you maybe read, so we're based in Shropshire in the UK, but we also work internationally, but that's how it came together because of the combination of those two foundations.
Okay, so when we speak about internationally, is that around Europe, around the world, how far reaches?
So it's in sub-Saharan Africa.
Oh!
So Shropshire, sub-Saharan Africa, bit of a leap there. But it might sound quite random, but actually what we do in both countries, maybe in different ways, is a very similar thing.
Yeah.
So in Africa, one of our big focuses is on education, really, because a lot of people, and particularly children who are deaf over there, as you can imagine, they face quite a lot of challenges, a lot of conceptions. We have some of these still in the UK as well, really, but over there we do a lot of community work, a lot of volunteer work as well to help those kids through education.
And I think the exciting thing about that is it's partner-led as well. So we work with a lot of strong community groups in those countries to enable the work that we do, which is really nice.
So is it like throwing a stone in a lake, sort of ripple effect? So like you work in one place, they learn from you, and maybe you have a positive influence on other people?
I think we work together, to be honest, on what we do. We work strongly with those partners, working with their skills, sharing a little bit of the kind of things we do over here. So it's a bit of a sharing of best practice to enable some of the outreach projects. Yeah.
And if our international team were here, they would be quite keen on telling you that what we don't do is we don't go over there and go into a community and teach them what to do. We rather sort of work with the families there, with the teachers, with the communities, the chief leaders who govern the bylaws, to make sure that all this is sustained. Because as you can imagine, like a lot of charities, we're funded. So once that funding comes to an end, we don't want our projects and our work to end. We want all this to have a very long impact. So it's quite important for us that we don't just go over there or send someone over there, do our work and then disappear. It's all...
Well, when something's symbiotic, you don't just kick the table down and be like, we're here now, this is what we're going to do. It's nice that you understand each other. That's what communication is all about. Now, communication is one of the main reasons we're here. Now, Joe, what are the challenges for you daily when it comes to getting around you day to day?
Well, at the moment, really, we have some issues mainly with communication. It's difficult lip reading. If someone doesn't, articulate themselves clearly and pronounce their words, especially during lockdown, it's even worse with masks being around. I mean, how on earth can you be expected to lip read if someone's wearing a mask? Bear with us just 1 second. We've got a nice iced coffee coming our way.
Nice. Thank you very much from the manager. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
So, I mean, if we go to the shops or we do anything, or we go to a doctor's appointment, for example, anything in general, masks, create such a massive barrier. And how can you lip read? So we have to ask, please, can you just remove your mask so we can lip read? Sometimes people are very compliant with that and they'll take it down at a distance and stand back. It's safe at a distance. We can remove masks, have a bit of conversation, and then pop the mask back up. But some people will refuse. They're quite hesitant, they're frightened, scared of, contracting the virus or whatnot. I mean, how else can we do it? So we've got leaflets that will help as a how-to guide for communication, how to remove your masks at a distance safely, right back and forth between one another. But at the moment, it is a very big problem, especially with the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having
Sorry.
this.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Sorry, interpreter delay. So also, one of our colleagues named Kat is going to different businesses, approaching them with the slogan of help communication be clear. So really it's just to try and raise awareness for people, just to say, look, please be understanding. If you meet a deaf person or approach a deaf person who might gesture that they are deaf or they need your mask to come down, if you just, do that, it can be a massive help.
This is amazing. This is the most, I love this so much. So Joe is signing and Abbey is translating, and I love this so much because I feel like I'm learning a lot. I mean, before I did this interview, I went and reached out and got some advice on how to do this interview without making myself look like I'm being ignorant, because this is difficult for a lot of people, but I feel like the more you guys work together and the more noise you make, it's going to help people, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, also Signal is also promoting deaf awareness training as well. So if there are people out there that think, do you know what, if I met a deaf person, I wouldn't have a clue what to do, there's Signal that can be there to help that. And I mean, there's situations where people just feel scared, and Signal could be there just to teach that basic deaf awareness, so you'd learn and have the confidence to actually approach a deaf person and know what to do in that situation. So next time you're in a shop and you saw a deaf person, you can think back to your training that you had from Signal, pop your mask down, take a step back and have that conversation a little bit more easily, whether you're just doing gestures, whether you're doing writing back and forth. But all I can say is, if a deaf person approaches you, just try. Don't think, oh, can't do this, and walk off. Just try anyway. You can work together. We all deaf people hate the feeling of just being almost binned off in a way. You can't try and communicate with me. Oh, that's it. We're all human at the end of the day. Our ears may be broken and we might need to communicate in a different way, but we're all human. So just make it all feel inclusive if you can. And you can do that via some deaf awareness training from Signal.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I love this. It's great that you guys are about as in Signal. What are the memorable sort of moments when you like reach out to someone and someone first approaches you and you start working with them? What are the telltale signs that you're actually doing good? Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll leap in with a quick one for this. So I support the work that we do with tinnitus. Now, tinnitus is a bit misunderstood. When you say to people, what do you know of tinnitus? They say, oh, it's a ringing in the ear. But actually, it affects 1 in 8 people. And out of those 1 in 8, 1 in 3 people have it either chronically or consistently in a much more severe way. And the sounds can range everything from sort of helicopter noises to bird-type chirps to water running. And obviously, as you can imagine, that's really distressing and frustrating when you first experience it. We have people who wake up in the middle of the night and they're experiencing it for the first time, and they say, oh, I wondered if I was going mad, or I wonder what was going on. So when people learn about tinnitus and are able to reach out to us, we can offer one-to-one services and support groups. So in the one-to-one service, I think a real tipping point for me since I've joined the organisation has been seeing someone come to me in a state of, real anxiety over whether it's going to get better, a real state of fear about what's happening to them and what's going on. And I think being able to offer that reassurance, and then going on to the support groups where we can offer peer-to-peer reassurance, where there are people who've had it for sort of 15 years or so, and I'm doing a really good job
community
of
about
fantastic sense of community, and I think having that I've seen one person joined us in February, and by sort of May time was at a point where it was well managed after feeling that was never going to change for
Must
them.
be really liberating.
Yes, no, you can only imagine the kind of difference that would make if you go from your silence and your kind of sleep time being so uncomfortable and so disturbed to actually having the experience where that's almost a background sound. You're not too aware of it, and you're actually able to get back on with your day-to-day living. And I think, unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, the experience has been significantly heightened, and cases have increased. So people who've been hospitalised for COVID are really commonly seeing that they're developing tinnitus as a result of some of the brain changes.
Okay.
So I guess the support is now, more vital than ever, to be able to offer people that reassurance, that support, and that opportunity for their own liberation.
Amazing. And let's talk about the pandemic, because the world changed, right? Nobody could go out. There were no shops to go into for a short while there. Everything went virtual. Joe, how was that for you?
It seemed okay, really. A little bit stuck at home, but if you can imagine, for a deaf person who's stuck at home, supposing something was to happen, so your water stopped or a pipe burst, how a deaf person can actually get assistance for that. It's not like they could just pick up the phone, make a quick call. You can't. So how can you ask for help? I mean, texting services are restricted, you can't go out. So how is that person able to ask for that assistance? That's been a big problem. Communication is just the number one thing. Masks, again, such difficult issues have come from having the masks. For example, the vaccinations, the first time I went, they took their mask down. I understood, I could lip read, but the second time they were very hesitant to remove their mask. I kept saying, look, I don't understand. And there are important questions that I need to know. They ask your name, your date of birth, what you're here for, details, allergies, etc. And refusing to move your mask down. I mean, how are other deaf people managing with that? I mean, it is a big problem.
Yeah, indeed. Everything went virtual as well. Zoom work for you? Is there a bit of problem sometimes with the lag, with signing down Zoom? Skype?
So we as a team use Zoom. So sometimes, if you can imagine, there's 5 or 6 people on Zoom, everyone's on their own little tile. It's with the interpreter there as well, which is brilliant. But try and imagine lip reading all the time, watching the interpreter. You can imagine how tiring that is. It's exhausting. And at the end of it, I can't make notes while listening. I have to watch. I have to see what's happening. It's tiring. Sometimes an hour meeting, a 2-hour meeting, I'm absolutely exhausted at the end of it. It's lovely to see people, but it is knackering. And as well, also knowing who's speaking on the Zoom meeting is so difficult, trying to work out who's on the tiles.
What about you, Abbey, as an interpreter? Is that hard for you? Have you been in that situation where you've had to interpret for 3 or 4 people on a chat?
I mean, day to day I interpret for a lot of different people. Yeah. I've done a meeting with 968 people as my max so far.
Wow.
Very big meeting. But you just carry on. It's just the additional things, like for Joe, deaf people don't always know who's talking and when they're talking, so interpreters need to try and remember to help to facilitate the communication. So, for example, Swan's talking, I would say, oh, Swan, or now it's Lucy, or now it's Cat. Like trying to name the person so Joe can, right, okay, moving on. Or if the topic changes, trying to make sure that's obvious. Topic has now changed, moving on. Because hearing people, we're all guilty of it. We will just change topic. Whereas a deaf person needs to be aware, right, okay, what are we talking about now? Oh, we've moved. So being aware of that and making sure that's clear.
And to be honest, that's something that even we at Signal as a team have to remind ourselves constantly about. It's not that we say, well, we are a charity that deal with deaf people and we just have it like that. We have to constantly sort of be reminded as well. It's like, make it clear if you change the topic,
slow
one person
down.
at a time. Yeah, exactly. I suppose you were talking about Zoom calls, etc. I think an interesting thing there as well is that since we went online a lot with our services, this had a bit of a positive outcome as well, because, as was said, we sort of fairly Shropshire-based here. But as Lucy can probably say, that meant sort of moving our services online a bit more. We had people joining from all over the world. Really,
Yes.
Yeah, we've had South America, a chat recently from Pakistan, so we've had people from all over the place who maybe can't access support where they are, and that's really nice to be able to offer that outreach because we've moved virtual.
And that's where I was kind of heading with this, with the COVID thing, was I bet you guys were inundated with people, because I mean I've spoken to charities around Shropshire, and what they found was, because there were so many people online and so many people had access to things online, they got inundated with extra services and extra people to help. That was the same for you guys?
Yeah, I think it was quite similar for me. I think particularly in lockdown, since we've come out of lockdown, it's a bit better. But obviously, working with tinnitus in a lockdown situation, you're in silence a lot more. You're in an environment where you're noticing that experience. So, yeah, I think there's certainly been an increase on our front. I don't know, Joe, if you've had that experience as well.
What for?
Just with the community that you support.
Has it grown because of lockdown?
It's whether more people have been sort of...
I don't think it's really grown. I mean, before we usually have lunch groups, coffee mornings. Obviously, all of that got put on hold. Signal's always been there for support if a deaf person or someone needed support, but luckily they can book online shopping. We've got this interpreting agency, the service, who have got text services to book interpreters. So really, it's been okay, but I mean the main concern has been mental health. People being stuck at home within the same four walls, not being able to sit with the members of their community. It's not impacted the mental health, and that's been a big problem.
Yeah, of course.
What I could say from my volunteer hat on, we've started recruiting for quite a lot of volunteer roles within the last sort of 4 months, and we made a lot of those roles available for people to working from home, and I think I've recruited more volunteers working from home who have tinnitus or hearing loss or are deaf on one ear than actually based in Shropshire. So that has been a completely new aspect for us, because we always sort of saw ourselves as working in Shropshire or sub-Saharan Africa. So that has sort of changed for us massively, which is another thing.
I mean, Shropshire is a very special place because there seems to be something in the water. Because something may start here. I mean, this is conjoined with two different countries. But PEGS with Michelle John, that was an idea that started in Shropshire and now it's gone nationwide. The Shrewsbury Food Hub, a lot of their ideas have gone nationwide. With you guys, you're helping people now that are coming to you from all around the country. So, I mean, amazing.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing.
It really is a nice thing. Now we're talking, so there's a tagline on your website that says, breaking down the barriers of inclusivity. Can we talk about that? Because what do people need to learn? I think it's really important that we talk about these communications that especially when it comes to businesses. What do businesses need to learn, and are you being taken seriously?
Yeah, I think at the moment we've got this campaign running, which is called Make Communications Clear. Yeah. So the idea is that, as Lucy was saying earlier, a lot of retail places, restaurants, public services are opening again, and a lot of people will become aware of a hearing loss during the pandemic because they subconsciously might have been relying on lip reading.
Yes.
And this will have become clear now. So what Signal does is we go to those places and say, like, how can we help you make communication better with people with hearing loss? So what we can do is people can go to our website, signal.org.uk, go under the COVID bit and order an information pack. So that will include a poster telling you about how to make communications clear. So things like lower your mask if you talk to somebody with hearing loss. It's actually government advice that you should do that from a safe distance. So don't be afraid of that. Make sure that if you can wear a transparent masks. They are available. Before you speak to somebody, get their attention. Speak at your usual speed. You can use a speech-to-text app. You might have a hearing loop system, so just make sure that is up and running as well. If you can, move to a space where there isn't so much background noise, or try to rephrase what you're saying if you sort of need to have another go. What you can order as well is like a poster which says "We are deaf aware," so that if you have people coming who have hearing loss, tinnitus, or are deaf, they know actually if I go into this shop, people will communicate with me, they will understand what I'm about. You can order like a whole host of wonderful badges as well, which say "I lip read." So these can be worn either by shopkeepers or actually by people who do that. So it's all free. Go to our website, get a pack. It really helps everyone.
And what's the response been like around Shrewsbury?
We've only just started that, so I think press releases have gone out today, really.
Yes.
But we had some orders in. So we're doing a little bit of go to everyone, sort of door to door, but...
A bit of plan of world domination. We're going to get out. We're going to doorstep to doorstep.
We realise it's a difficult time, obviously, particularly for retailers, for cafes, because everyone has a lot on their mind. We're just about to reopen everything, really. So it's really important for us that this service is really easy, and as I said, it's free. Just go online, order it, it'll be there in a few days.
The way I see it is, the more inclusive a business is, the more money they stand to make in.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So it's actually an investment to work with this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Shrewsbury's an amazing community. There's so many heartfelt things that go on, and I think increasing inclusion in that circumstance can only be a benefit to everybody.
Yeah.
And also saying that the deaf community in Shropshire is quite a close-knit one. So if people have good experiences, word will spread. So there is benefit in this.
It's true.
Yeah. It's true. What are you looking forward to when everything opens again? What's your favourite thing to do when you're not working?
Well, I'm going to have a baby.
You're going to have a baby. Good luck with that.
I probably wouldn't enjoy the exact moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, days out of the beach are great when they're not so busy. The beaches have been crazy, nice walks, things like that. I'm looking forward to the world being open again. It's been a huge challenge for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, like we were just saying, being closed. But we've had a moment to pause, haven't we? That last year was just a moment to stop and think about how we can do things differently. Do you feel like that was an important period for Signal?
Absolutely, and I think, and as we said, Lucy and I, we only sort of joined the organisation recently, but Joe can probably confirm there's been some huge changes because of all the changes we had during COVID. So that's similar to a lot of other businesses, but we realised how all those changes going online, being able to do some things, not being able to do other things, have impacted our deaf, hard of hearing and tinnitus communities as well, really. So, we've all been working from home. We only recently started going into our offices, but as most people, it's probably fair enough to say we do enjoy seeing each other as well, talking to each other face to face.
I think it makes you aware of that bit more of the importance of having that face-to-face contact, certainly in some communities. But I think, thankfully on the flip side, it has opened up some opportunities as well, like, being able to access people who are maybe a bit further afield, or, getting speakers or people involved who wouldn't necessarily be able to travel, but who can join us virtually to give advice, information, support, that kind of stuff. So, it's been a tough year, but, there are some positives to come out of it as well, and it is lovely to be able to start looking to the future now and thinking about those return to face-to-face support and face-to-face activities. So
face-to-face is great. That's why I'm doing this today. The hustle and bustle of the old Market Hall Cafe behind me, this is illustrating what Shrewsbury's all about. It's a cafe culture, so that's what we've got behind us, and I've missed that so much, so I'm happy to be here today. You talk about the future. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about 2013, when you guys first started doing this Signal. I know you guys are kind of new to the business, but Joe, what challenges were the hardest things you started doing this thing, and you had to tackle what exactly, compared to now?
Oh gosh. So I've been involved with Signal for 12 years now. Challenges, I'm not even sure at this point anymore. My memory's not very good, so
was there a lot of prejudice compared to now?
think the times have changed now. People are a lot more open and beginning to understand the deaf community that little bit more compared to maybe previous times. I think maybe a while ago or years ago there was a bit of naivety about how to approach the deaf community sometimes, or just unawareness, where we're still battling that unawareness with communication, but people are much more open to it now. I mean, it's possible that some things never change. Communication will always be an issue. There's such a big spectrum of how to communicate with different members of the deaf community, with their needs, etc. So whether that will actually ever completely go, but we can definitely improve it.
Amazing. And when it comes to teaching young people sign language, is this something you guys excel at? Are you good at doing this? Do you enjoy it?
So I would love for schools to introduce BSL as part of the curriculum. You know, maybe scrap French or German or so, just one of them, maybe. Sorry, Swan. Sorry.
I'm German, I should say.
But I mean, how often is it that you'll go to a different country, such as France, Germany, Italy, on holiday, where you might use some of the language there and they can't speak English back, or they not. English is the predominant language for most countries, not predominant. Most countries know a bit of English, whereas how many countries could you go to where you'll face a deaf person and be able to communicate? But if you knew some sign language or was taught from school age, you would be able to, regardless of whether they spoke German, Italian, Spanish, French, you would have that communication ability on some scale, and that's why it's so important to introduce it into the curriculum. It would just make things so much more simple. If you could imagine going to hospital and you go to the reception and the receptionist could automatically, I'm not saying they need to be, fluent in BSL, but some kind of gestural work, or just hello, how can I help, or date of birth, or if you go to a shop and you've got a bit of a problem, they can say, what's the matter, what are you looking for? Just those little bits, just like how most people can ask in Spanish, can I have a beer please?
Una cerveza, por favor.
Priorities.
But exactly, my point proven. But if you could do that in sign language, it would make such a difference.
I suppose, sort of as a mum of young children, I can say is that there is a bit of emphasis on this now, which is fantastic. There's so many courses for little toddlers.
Amidst Tumble?
Exactly, yeah. Look at CBBS, there's always some sign language involved, which is a brilliant thing. I know toddlers who can sign a little bit before they can talk, which is fantastic, which shows it is natural to us, isn't it? And agreed. And if you go to our, if you follow us on Facebook, Joe and our colleague Anna, they do quite a lot of good videos, and sometimes you get like little snippets of BSL that you could use. So it could be the alphabet, or it could be things like, can I have a beer please? Or it might even be things that are common across sort of a lot of languages. So just have a nosy, even if you learn one or two things, they're great.
And that's what I was going to say, is I am guilty of this, okay? I've never learned any BSL. I feel terrible for saying that, but I should. So if I was going to, how would I approach you guys? So there's the videos on Facebook, but are there courses that I can join with Signal that you offer?
Yeah, no, you can look on the website, and you could, just going back to what you were talking about, communication, my granddaughter, when she was 18 months old, she could sign 10 signs. She could sign milk, daddy, mummy, lots of different things. She was 18 months old and she could sign. So it just goes to show.
Amazing, yeah. Well, the young minds are like sponges, aren't they? Whereas me, I probably struggle now, but I feel like I should definitely try and learn. So go on the website, and you guys got other things you can offer there, yeah?
Exactly. If you go to our services, you can sort of dip in and out whatever you need, and BSL courses are one of them as well. We also have a little thing planned for later in the winter, which is it'll probably called something like a sign-a-thon. So it's not confirmed yet, but the idea is that we'll have a lot of volunteers and staff going to schools, teach them a Christmas song in BSL, which is sign language, and they can sign it as part of their carol concert. We'll do a bit of a fundraiser like that. So it's just a fun way to get into it.
Yeah.
Nice. I really like that. Speaking of concerts and things like this, that's really cool. I'd love to come to get involved with that, because I think it's great. But when it comes to media, TV, movies, music, Do you feel like enough is done to help people are hard of hearing?
No.
No, straight up just no. Because I only see late at night or early in the mornings there's somebody signing. There should be channels, services, red button thing you can press or something that you can help, yeah?
At the moment during the day, like for example the news, there's subtitles, which is fine. Sometimes there may be an in-vision interpreter, but some programmes, maybe Emmerdale or whatnot, at strange times of the day, when it's a repeat of the programme. But the early hours of the morning, I mean, it feels like, what's the point? Do they think all deaf people are awake at night and asleep in the day? I mean, the subtitles, the voiceovers and the interpreters, when they're there, I mean, not everyone understands, or not everyone relies on subtitles. Not everyone can understand an interpreter. It's nice to have the opportunity to have both options there all the time.
And subtitles are useless. There's such a delay.
Yeah, we've had some fun and games, I think, with the early Zoom subtitles and using different platform subtitles. I can't remember what I said the other day, but it came up on the subtitles as "I'm going to murder someone." So we've had some real fun and games when we've turned on captions and live captioning, actually having that accurate and correct, so we can support people, which is obviously, as you can imagine, quite frustrating.
It's crazy because services like Facebook, Zoom, I don't know if they use an automated system on the BBC. It's a huge responsibility to make sure what is being said is translated properly, because you could be giving the wrong messages or being, offensive.
And that's just sort of talking about entertainment. If we go look at really important messages, that can be sort of detrimental to your life or life and death threatening. I mean, we're in COVID at the moment. There's so many messages coming out at the moment which are so important. If you're 25 now, you can get vaccinated.
So, Sorry to interrupt.
No,
just on that note, just talking about programmes, obviously with the pandemic and the biggest issues in the world at the moment, or for us anyway, Boris Johnson's announcements, what's happening with COVID, the updates, where is the interpreter? Scotland have a live interpreter, Wales have a live interpreter, Ireland have a live interpreter. Where is England's live interpreter? There's a campaign, a massive one at the moment, literally called "Where is the Interpreter?" But Boris Johnson is making these vital announcements, which is crucial for everyone to know, including the deaf community. But where is the interpreter? They shouldn't have to flip to a different programme. They shouldn't have to wait till an hour and a half later. There should be a live interpreter, and there isn't one. And you can't rely on subtitles.
Yeah.
Very valid point. Boris, sort out an interpreter. God, it can't be hard. Jeez. I mean, most people. I watch a lot of Boris's stuff on Facebook. Do you know what I mean? And like we were saying, the subtitles can't be trusted on anything. They're just awful. So an interpreter is integral to getting the message across properly. So I know Boris listens. So if you listen to me, Boris, get an interpreter. He doesn't really. So you're about to start this campaign with Signal. You're about to go to businesses. You're going to go and hand out posters and things like that. Have you got a plan, or are you just going to canvass the town? Is there any events you're going to do? Or?
I think there's a lot of elements of canvassing, and I think the overall message is just increasing understanding and people being more open and receptive to people with different needs, or who need something from them, because it can be very uncomfortable to have to step outside of what you're used to, but the thing is, it's important for you within yourself to challenge that, to go, okay, let's use this discomfort to create more inclusion, let's use this energy here, and actually create a difference and create a change. That's a really big thing. So I don't know if someone you want to say a bit more on the campaign, but it really is a big thing to raise awareness.
Yeah, we're quite aware obviously that there are a lot of challenges for a lot of businesses at the moment, so we're quite keen to make it easy for people as well.
That's why these visual aids are great,
exactly,
the posters and the badges.
So we're obviously fully aware that people who are deaf and have hearing loss and tinnitus are not the only thing on people's mind at the moment. So even if you can make the smallest change, if you have 5 minutes to read through a leaflet, even that would help. And I think Signal, we always counted ourselves as a small charity with a big impact. So if you have a look at sort of the size of organisation, we're 9 staff, and the thousands of people that we support and whose lives we change directly is huge, really, and we're quite I think it's fair to say we're all quite proud of that, really.
Yeah.
So
I'm proud of you guys.
God bless, thank you.
You do a great job. You do a great job. Say someone's listening to this podcast now. How can they help you? Is there any way that a listener that's thinking, I would really like to go and help Signal?
Absolutely. So there's loads of different ways you can get involved. So you can obviously donate to our cause, like any charity. We're reliant on funding, so that would be brilliant. Just go to our website, signal.org.uk, have a look. You can do a nice fundraiser for us. We've got loads of events going on. So whether you want to run the Shrewsbury 10K or the London Half Marathon, you can do that. You can do your own fundraiser. You can do anything you want. You can do coffee morning, you can upside from the column if you want. I'm not sure if you can do that, but if anyone wants, that's fine. Or you can
easy now, calm down, right?
Or, well, obviously you can volunteer for us as well. So again, go to our website, and there's lots of ways to get involved. So you can get involved directly in the delivery of our services and projects. So you can involve with our tinnitus services, or with our deaf social groups, or with hearing loss support, or you can help us behind the scenes. You can help with our social media. You can become a photographer for us. You can become a trustee for us. So there's really something for everyone. And I should say, if you have lived experience of being deaf, you have hearing loss or tinnitus, that's great. But you don't have to. If you just want to help us out and learn more about this and just help in whatever capacity, that's fine. If you have 2 hours, great. If you have like a day a week, that's great as well. Just give us a shout.
I mean, just on that note as well, so for instance, our support group volunteers is a commitment of about 3 hours a month. It's quite a small commitment. We provide full training and ongoing development for pretty much all of our services as well, if you want to get involved. It does make a huge difference to what we're able to provide. So going back to face-to-face for tinnitus, we're looking to provide support groups in Oswestry, Shrewsbury and Telford. So we have some good outreach in the county, and those volunteer positions really help us to enable that support. So if you've got 3 hours spare, get in touch.
Yeah. And do you need to know how to sign to be helpful?
No. If you have no experience, we'll teach you everything. That's absolutely fine. And whether you want to work from home or you want you crave that social engagement again, there's a variety of volunteer roles for everyone there, really. But we were talking about earlier, don't be worried that if you don't know anything about communication with deaf people, don't worry about that. I was in that situation 5 months ago myself, really, and it's really easy. But we are such a sort of, I would like to think, welcoming organisation as well. Just ask us, how do I do this? How do I communicate with everyone? Or if you just have a question, just drop us an email. We're there for everyone really.
Yeah.
Amazing. And they're easy to find as well. I did my research this morning. The Signal charity, just put it on Google and it'll come up. Just remember, guys, listening to what we've just been speaking about, you're talking about people's lives here. You're talking about liberating people. There are people that may become deaf older in life and struggle, they panic. I don't know sign language, I'm losing my hearing, what do I do? These are people that you're helping, and if you've got a few hours spare, a month, a week, whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And about 1 in 5 people in Shropshire will experience hearing loss at some point in their life, so help out now, we'll benefit from it later.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you, Abbey, for interpreting today.
No problem. I'd just like to add, I am one of these people doing the 10K for Signal. I cannot run. I have to run up a hill. If I'm doing it, anyone else can. So we can all do it.
I keep saying I'm going to do the 10K every year.
Oh, well, we'll sign you up here then.
No.
Fabulous, we'll take that.
Maybe next year. The goal is to lose, I say this every year, but the goal is to lose a bit of weight and to get healthier. So one day I'll be like, I am doing the 10K. This is where people are going to give me lots of money for charity, because they'll realise that it's such a big achievement for me to actually be there.
So we can count you in for next year then?
Yes.
Yeah, fabulous.
So, sorry, Joe speaking now, not the interpreter. Just one more thing to add. If you meet a deaf person, please, just don't panic or don't freeze. The hearing person, if you're that person, just be normal, talk normal.
Yeah.
Use your facial expressions, we all know how to do them. Use your voice. And if they don't understand, just change the words. Try not to repeat the same phrase constantly. If it's not working, change it. But everything will be fine. We don't bite. The deaf community don't bite. We're just normal people. We as deaf people want to be treated just like everyone else is, and we'll work with you just as much as you can work with us.
And this is what I learned from a big shout out to the Audio Drama Hub, who I work with as a voice actor and on the radio. I work a lot with these people, and I asked for advice. I'm speaking to a deaf person and an interpreter today. How do I do this without, with doing it properly? And a lot of the advice I got given was, don't patronise someone. Don't speak in a different tone of voice. Don't speak loudly. These sort of things. So huge shout out to those guys. Thank you for that advice, and I've really enjoyed today. It's been really nice.
Thank you for having us. It's been amazing.
I would like to tell you guys, the listeners, before we get out of here, of something I'm going to be doing in September. I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live podcast for charity. We're going to be raising money for Lincoln Davis at 9 a.m. on the 29th of September. I'm going to go live, and I'm not going to stop until 9 a.m. on the 30th, which is International Podcast Day. It's going to be 12 hours of the Shrewsbury Biscuit and 12 hours of You Suck, US UK, the other network I work on. And we're, like I said, we're doing this to raise money for charity. We are selling hour-long sponsors. If you want an hour sponsored by your company, get in touch. We're selling them for a minimum of £50 an hour, and that money all the money goes straight to Lincoln Davis. So if you want to get involved, go to our website, which is the shrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. Again, you guys have been amazing. Where can people find you? Social media, websites, things like that?
Yeah, we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook. You can visit our website at signal.org.uk, and you can email us as well. I believe it's info@signal.org.uk. I'm looking to Kat. Am I right? Yeah, fabulous. Yeah.
Amazing. Joe, have you got any closing comments?
No, just thank you very much for your time and having us.
Amazing. You guys have been awesome. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.